Welcome back to Words of Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idle, and I have a confession to make. I love the movie The Help. I'm not even joking. I love that movie. I cry every time I watch it. It gets to me. It is such an amazing movie, and it breaks my heart seeing this article. Here's why Octavia Spencer doesn't think The Help could be made now. Actress Octavia Spencer said that since The Help premiered 12 years ago, society has taken a very, very dangerous turn in regards of history. And this woman is right. Like, she's entirely correct. This movie couldn't be made today with all the racial connotations and the fact that it was made by a white individual, directed by a white individual. I mean, which shouldn't be the case. It is a fantastic movie. It is unreal how much I adore this movie. I did not like it when it came out because it was 12 years ago and I was young and dumb and didn't understand what good movies were. I started watching it with a friend a couple years ago. She was going through a rough patch and this was like her comfort movie, so I watched it with her a couple times. Next thing I know, we watched it together probably once a week for like 3 months straight, and never once did it not bring me to tears. I'm such a sucker for this film. So let's go through this article and see what Octavia Spencer has to say. Academy Award winner Octavia Spencer said she doesn't know if her hit film The Help could be made today. While appearing on Bruce Bosey's Table for Two podcast, Spencer said that since the movie was premiered 12 years ago, society has taken a very, very dangerous turn in regards to history. Here's what she said. What did Octavia Spencer say? Well, you just said, here's what she said. You tell us. Fox News reported that the actress said that she doesn't know if the film would have been made today, but it absolutely should be made. I completely agree. I think that as much as I love the movie now and didn't like it back then, now with the age I am, I would love it if I saw it today. But that being said, I also wonder if I'm an outlier, because with all the division that's going on, there probably would be individuals that would hate it just to hate it, despite the fact that it's a well-crafted movie. You'd have individuals on the left and the right that would hate it. It would almost have the Velma effect, but for something that's good. People on the left would throw a fit that, oh, it's too white, it endorses the white savior mythology, this, that, and the other. And then you have people on the right that would hate it just to own the libs, because they would think that it's, a very pro-left movie because of, it stars black individuals and it's about the black experience and things like that. So maybe this movie, even if it was made today, would be so polarizing that no one would enjoy it for what it is. Why can't this story be told? I think what's happening in society right now is very, very dangerous because, we're scrubbing the history books. And if we can't point to our historical references and we can't point to the things like that in art and history, we're repeating history now because we've been stripping those truths away. Spencer said, based! Oh, Octavia Spencer getting based up in here. She is entirely correct. Those who do not know history are doomed to repeat it, and that is what we're going through. When you're tearing down statues that you claim are offensive, when you're rioting in the streets over, officers killing another black individual, even though those officers were black and they're already in jail and being charged for murder, then what are you protesting? I get it. There are things to be outraged about. There are things to be angry about. However, knowing history, knowing how to handle those sorts of situations, knowing how to navigate the internet, that's a very modern sort of thing, but it has, historical connotation to it because people can put whatever on the internet and then other idiots will fall for it even if it's not true when they should be, learning from the actual history. It's a very, very big misstep we've taken in the modern human experience, and I think that Octavia Spencer is hitting the nail on the head, especially when art, any art, but especially film, has the opportunity to teach us something, to send certain messages, and we're censoring that art or afraid to put that art out there because of the missteps we've taken, recently with our society. That can only hurt us in the future. I don't know. This woman is hitting the nail on the head. Let's keep going. Spencer was promoting the third season of her Apple TV Plus series, Truth Be Told, while on the podcast, but affirmed that she believes The Help should be made today if it hadn't been made already due to its important story. And you know what? Thank God it was made already, because taking the important story aspect of it aside, taking the black story out of it, taking the white savior stuff out of it, whatever, it's just a really good movie. The acting is all around fantastic. The way it's shot is great. The story progression, it's very much a beginning, middle, end. The pacing is perfect. There's little bits of comedy thrown in to match some of the dark subject matter. Not even little bits of comedy. There's a lot of comedy in it for there being such a dark subject matter. So it threads that needle beautifully between depressing and not really comedy, but at least a good laughing story. There's a lot of heart to it. It's just good quality cinema that we don't get nowadays because they're too busy making cape films. Could the help be made today? I don't know. Should the help be made today? Absolutely. It represents real people who made real contributions to society who were never rewarded for their contributions, Spencer said. Why did Spencer say this? The actress didn't give a reason for her statement, but, well, we know the reason for her statement. It's in the context. You just gotta read between the lines. She doesn't have to come out and say, well, I'm saying this because of this. No, it's very obvious why she's saying this. She doesn't like the way that society is turned, the way that we have gone as a community, not as black people, not as white people, not as moviegoers, but all of us as a cumulative society. She sees the writing on the wall for the danger that comes with this, for repeating history, for not bothering to understand, for not bothering to try and listen to anyone's differences of opinion. It doesn't matter if it's left, right, up, down, black, white. The whole point is to at least live and give credence. When you have someone out there saying, your opinion doesn't matter because you're this gender or you're this skin color, regardless of what it is, that's not a good way to live. To tell someone they can't have thoughts or opinions or feelings on something, oh, you don't get to have a say in abortion because you're a dude, you don't get to have a say in what's going on in the inner city because, you're from the country. Like, that, no. People can be intelligent enough to have well-rounded, thought-out opinions on pretty much any subject as long as they're willing to put in the work and the time to learn about it. And certain immutable characteristics, like what you're born with between your legs, is not going to be an impact, or at least it should not be an impact, on what you can bring to the table for those sorts of discussions. Octavia Spencer is very obviously saying, we aren't communicating, and that is bad. I mean, it's right there. So she doesn't need to give a reason. The reason is obvious if anyone cares to do any digging. Her co-star, Viola Davis, made headlines for saying she regrets her role in the film back in 2018, according to Vanity Fair. Yeah, well, Viola Davis is an idiot. She's the one who took the role in The Warrior Queen and thought that it was such an amazing role, such an amazing movie, and that you were racist if you didn't go see it, when this movie completely hides, or at least greatly minimizes, the absolute atrocities that were committed, by the tribe represented in that movie. So I don't exactly think she's going to be the arbiter of what's good and moral and what should be shown in movies that, really prop up black women. Because while I've not seen The Warrior Queen, and I have no interest to, if I had to guess which one treated black women a whole lot better and a lot more realistically, it would probably be The Help. And I bet The Help is a film that will stand the test of time as opposed to The Warrior Queen, which will fade into obscurity. Not a lot of narratives are also invested in our humanity. They're invested in the idea of what it means to be black, but it's catering to white audiences, Davis told Vanity Fair, according to Bustle. Is that bad, though? And this is an honest question. So, movies are still, they're art, but they're still a business. And you need to make money on them. The black population is 13.6% of the U.S. So, if your entire population is 13.6%, that means the white audience is a much larger audience. If you have a message out there, wouldn't you want to get that message to the largest audience possible? You can still tell, stories. You can still tell, stories of black triumph or stories about black culture, black ideas, things that you want to get out there, messages you want to get out there, messages that are probably important to get out there, but cater it to an audience that is likely to see it. And if you're trying to cater a film to only 13.6% of an entire country, of an entire population, you're probably not going to make the money or get the message out the way you want to. But by catering it to an audience that has a much broader appeal, then you're going to get that message out. I mean, the reason that the Marvel films are made the way they are, 9 times out of 10, is to appease China. Because China has just a massive population. So if you make films to appease that population, then you take that movie, in Marvel's case, China, you take that movie to China, it breaks the bank, it makes a lot of money. Okay, I mean, it's clearly a very common practice in the movie industry. I don't get why making a film about the black experience but catering it to white people is a problem. Aren't white people the people you'd want to understand your plight and understand your experiences and understand what certain ideas and themes mean? This just seems like a counterintuitive statement from Viola Davis, and I mean, maybe I'm misinterpreting it, maybe I'm not understanding it, but I would think that that films about the black experience and what it means to be black should be catered towards not only white people, but both. And catering them towards white people is not a problem, since that's where the bulk of your viewers and money is going to come from if it's marketed properly. I just felt that at the end of the day, it wasn't the voices of the maids that were heard. I mean, I completely disagree. Again, I love this movie. I love The Help, and it's absolutely the whole central emotional point of the story is about the maids. Like, yeah, there's also equally a story about what's going on with the white girl writing the book, played brilliantly by Emma Stone, by the way. She's amazing. But the heart of the story, the part that we want to see succeed, is the story of what's going on with the black maids. Like, that was never a question. And maybe I'm just a dumb white guy that don't know movies, but I was far more invested in the black maid characters than I was the white chicks. If I want to watch a movie focusing on white chicks, I'll watch White Chicks, which ironically enough is also about black people at some points. I know Abilene, I know Minnie. They're my grandma. They're my mom, Davis said, according to K-View. And I know that if you do a movie where the whole premise is, I want to know what it feels like to work for white people and to bring up children in 1963, I want to hear how you really feel about it. I never heard that in the course of the movie. Are you kidding? Then you haven't watched the movie since you started in it, or you're backpedaling now because you're afraid of the connotations of what could be said about you or what could be said about that movie or how society has changed. And it's absolutely disingenuous to the film, because let me tell you, while I was not around in 1963, while I'm white, while I'm no expert, the emotional invocations that movie puts in me when I'm watching it, I told you, there's a reason I cry every time I watch it. I'm a sucker for the film. You can ask my friends, that's not an exaggeration. I bawl like a bitch when this movie comes on, and I'm not afraid to admit it. It hits me every time. So to say that it didn't, put you, that you don't know what the premise is, you don't know what it feels like to work for white people, that you want to know how to really feel about it, well, let me tell you, the movie does a good job of that. I don't know what it didn't do for you. I don't know why it didn't hit you the right way, but the movie does a fantastic job of it, because I sob like a little girl every time I watch this movie, and I'm very happy I do. I'm so happy that this news article came out that's getting traction, because it gives me a chance to suck off a movie that I would not normally talk too much about. But damn, I love it. But speaking of article, that's the end of it. So, what do you think? Do you think Octavia Spencer is absolutely based and that Viola Davis is an absolute moron? Because that's what I think, but you might have different opinions, and if you do, let me know in the comments below, or let me know on Twitter, where you can find me at BoltTheWord. And please subscribe and check out the back catalog. I do nerdy news videos every day. Movies, music, comics, magic, Star Wars, you name it. You can find it here in the Nerdosphere. So please subscribe, because until next time, this has been Words of Paradise.